Hi guys, it's Jeff at Slavens Racing. This video is about fatty tires, fatty front tires. So, fatties came out just a few years ago. I'm not sure how long ago. I'm going to say 3 or 4 years ago. And I thought it was a fad at the time that would fade and go away, but it seems like it's here to stay, at least for a while. And I got to throw out a little disclaimer here to tell you that I'm not a total fatty fan, and I'll tell you why here in a little bit as we get into this review. And I've got 3 different fatties here. So I believe the first guys to come out with fatty were Golden Tire, and that's this one right here. It's 216. That's also the one that's on my 500. This tire's got about 220 miles on it. And you can see that the side knobs are still in good shape. The edges on the center knobs still pretty darn good. And this tire's got a long ways to go before it comes off. And I've got it mounted up there with a tubeless system, and I ran it between 10 and 12 pounds. I changed the pressure back and forth during testing. And then, like I said before, these two are the same tire. This one here is the Shinko 216. This is the Golden Tire 216. This is the Motaz, or what most people call Moto Z. Correct pronunciation is Motaz. This is the Motaz Tractionator Enduro ST 9100. So these are all 9100s. That's what makes them a fatty. And I've tested them all. I've tested the Shinko the most. I've got the most time on it. The Shinko is, out of the 3, you can tell here if you look closely that those 2 tires look very similar. The Shinko and the Golden Tire, and they both have the same name, 216. So why is that? Well, they used to be made in the same factory in, I'm not going to say Korea or Thailand, I'm not sure. But they've since changed. These are still made in the original place. Golden Tire has moved its production over to China. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I definitely have an attitude about a lot of Chinese products, but they do make some good products there. And Golden Tire is one of them. And this is still, the Golden Tire is still by far the biggest seller of the 3 and the most popular of the 3. Although I don't really think it's a standout as far as performance. And let's talk about performance. That's my complaint about fatties. They've got their pluses and minuses, like all tires do, like most products do. So the pluses of fatty tires, any of these 3, or there's other ones out there as well. The plus is that in sand, they're great. They're fantastic in sand because they stay up on top of the sand more than a narrower tire. And that gives you more stability because, as we all know, sand is a section where most of us, most of us don't like sand that much, I would say. And the fat profile is more stable in sand or similar conditions. Any like deep gravel, like pea gravel that's deep, that type of stuff. That's where these tires really shine. The other thing that they do well is because of the tall profile, and the profile by that I mean the height of the tire right here. They're taller through this section than say an 8100 tire is. And so what that extra height in the profile does is it gives you a softer ride. So comparing these to an 8100 or a 9090, you're going to get a little more cushy ride, which to me that's a suspension issue that should be addressed with the suspension, not with the tire. But not everybody has the budget to do suspension or the desire to do it, or know a guy that can do it well. There's a long list of reasons why they run stock suspension. And if you're one of those guys, well then you're going to get a little more cush out of these, more comfort. And that wider footprint makes them track better over rocks and roots. What the wider profile does that I don't care for is it doesn't turn as well. So, especially on harder packed terrain like we have here in Colorado, you want a tire that will knife into that dirt and carve through it in a turn. You don't want a tire that floats on top of it like you would in sand or that pea gravel type situation. Most of our trails out here are pretty darn hard packed. We don't have a lot of loam. And so these fatty style tires do not turn as well. The other thing that they do that I don't care for is in a rut. They want to grab the sides of that rut and try to pull up out of it. So when you're trying to ride down the center of that rut, and it's constantly trying to pull your bike to the right or the left and climb out of that rut. It does the same thing on what I call a trench trail. A trench trail is a trail, just a nice narrow single track that's worn down over the years, and now it's 6 inches below the surface, and it's like a trench. They do the same thing there. They want to climb up the sides. We have a lot of trails like that in Colorado, so for me, fatty tires are not my choice. For other parts of the country, they're definitely a great option. And there's going to be lots of guys here in Colorado or similar areas, any of the mountain states are going to argue with me about that, but you run whatever you want. Just because I don't care for that part of it doesn't mean that doesn't work for you. So, but what you really want to know is, how do these tires perform? And so I always break out the durometer. Durometer tells you the hardness of the rubber. Most tires, front tires, run in the 70 to 75 durometer range, 75 being harder than 70. So the Golden tire is a 75, the Shinko is about a 72, and the Motaz is a 70. So it's the softer compound of the three. And all these tires work similarly, but by far the two on the outside, the Motaz and the Golden tire, are the standouts. The Shinko is a budget tire that does have a long service life. If you are a dual sport guy and you're doing a long ride, you're going to crank out several hundred miles, 1,000 miles, that tire will do it. I suspect that all of these would hold up pretty well for those long distance rides. I've ridden the Shinko. I had one with 800, 900 miles on it and still had a lot of life left. These other two, I've not ridden them that far. I've just got a couple hundred miles on each of them. The Motaz and the Golden tire definitely are better handling tires than the Shinko. But the Shinko has its place. It's a budget tire. It's, I don't know what the price is. I'm going to say $60 or something, but they're on our site if you want the exact price. All these are on our website, and I'll put links right below the video so you can find them easily. But as far as performance goes, I'd say the two outside ones here are about a tie. I might even lean slightly towards the Motaz, but I've not ridden them both of those in enough different types of terrain, wet, mud, sand, gravel, hard pack, yada yada yada. I've not put them through enough of that for a long enough period of time to really say which is the total standout here. I know somebody's going to post right away which one's my favorite. Well, like I said before, no fatties are my favorite. I'll post a video later on some of my favorite tires. I'm not against fatties. I run fatties when I go to Utah on my 500. That's why I had this one mounted up. And then I also have used it here in Colorado some. Because if I'm going to sandy conditions like over there in Utah, well then that's a really good choice. So I'm not bashing fatty tires. I'm just saying they're not for me for most of the riding that I do. But I do use them for certain applications. So I hope this doesn't, I hope it gives you some clarity instead of confusion. I think that's about all for now.